adventure, an adventure on its own. All the people are gonna come, 'cause it's time for PeaCreaLive. Mr. Big and
Oh, hello everybody. Welcome
Hello,
to
everybody.
another edition of PeaCreaLive. This is the secret edition. I'm in the dark. Arno is incognito in his mask, wandering around Prague somewhere. If you're watching the show and you find him and you see him, you can ask a question live on the show. You can get him
Yeah.
if you're you get we get to maybe we'll reveal where he is and you can find him and you can talk to him live on the show. We're doing vulnerability and money part 2 today. And do you want to oh, and by the way, as always, anytime you want, you can chat us something, ask us a question, and we'll go answer it for you, get that stuff going. Your questions will guide the show. Your comments, we love them. That's why we do the show live. That's why we have like a DIY setup every time. And Arnaud is so committed to the show that he's even doing it on the road. So Arnaud, why don't you give the folks a heads up, just a reminder of what happened last time and why we're doing today's show.
Yes, I will. But I really like your idea. It's always a pleasure to talk to fans. So if you guys can find me in Prague, I will give you $10,000. I don't know when, but I will give it.
Oh my God! Okay.
So if you find me in Prague before the end of the show, I'm saying it in front of all the viewers. $10,000 for you.
Okay, everybody, you heard that. You heard that.
Oh my God! Someone is running to one. Okay. So yeah, I'm not going to give clue of where I am, although that might be pretty obvious. But okay, let's go. So last Friday on the show, we talked about money and vulnerability because something happened in my life, in my financial life, which came as a shock to me. And I was like, because I preach authenticity and vulnerability in creative act and in everything, creative outputs for my clients, I was like, okay, it's the logical thing to do for me to share it. And it ended up being a really good episode. You guys liked it. We had some comments, we had some views, and it was very useful for me, very useful hopefully for several viewers. And Davey, thank you very much for all those good advices that you gave. And today it's kind of what happens like 3 days later, and a lot of insights. I practiced some of the things that we talked about on Friday, and a lot of things to share. So I'm probably gonna speak a lot this episode. So Davey, if there's something else you wanna share before I start to monopolize, or if you have something you want to complete.
No, that's okay. I'm really excited to hear how your experience has been and what's happened for you and what's going on for you. So
Okay.
yeah, what's update us on? We did that live coaching show, and you had some tools, some mindsets, some ideas that you were going to take away. So yeah, what
Yeah.
happened after the show, and where are you now? And
Okay. Yeah. So I shaved my head. Is what happened after the show.
oh,
I changed CD. So a lot happened. Okay. One insight that came to me today, and so is really strong in my mind, is the importance of having wins in your life for a particular reason. When this stuff happened on Thursday evening, I felt very shocked and very sad and lost, and I didn't know what to do. And I saw that the source of all this sorrow or suffering was from this one thing. And if you missed last episode show, I own a flat, and the tenants didn't renew the contract. So suddenly I had one of my stream of incomes disappears brutally. And since I'm building a business, this is a stream of income that's very important for me. But then I realized that more things are connected to this suffering, to these feelings that I have. Something connected with my relationship with my family. I had cried like a few minutes before the show, out of the blue, talking with my mother-in-law. And today I had a win, financial win, and actually 2 financial wins today. And all of a sudden, it gave me some insight on my situation. It made me realize that the reason I was so touched by the situation was last week was because it was a pile of things, of different events, seemingly unrelated, but that I was all mixing them together and associating with a core wound, which is I'm worthless, I'm not good enough, I'm not gonna make it, I don't belong here. And the win of today kind of give me this boost, kind of this, like if I jump on a trampoline or I put a jetpack or something and I elevate myself, and I could see the situation, and I was like, wait a minute, like, okay, there was this financial thing that was stressing me, but this is a completely different problem, which was also connected to the sorrow and the fear, the suffering that I had. So for me, that was a big insight, and the importance, what I got out of it was that winning sometimes helps you differentiate what's happening in your life, because if you're still suffering after you win, it's like, well, the suffering comes from somewhere else, someplace else. And that was a pretty strong insight that I wanted to share on the show, and I'm curious to know what you think about it, David.
So you're saying that you had some wins, but you were still feeling the agitation, the suffering, and so you had some financial wins since the last show, and you're saying that maybe should have helped you calm down, feel more supported, feel better than maybe it did, and you realize oh wait, there was something else going on here. What I thought was a shock from the financial situation, actually it was there's this constellation of challenges, and that's actually what I was reacting to. Am I understanding correctly?
Yes, although the financial win did help a lot. It's not like I had the financial win and I was like, oh, I'm still sad. No. So first of all, I did a lot of things that we talked about on Friday, and I will talk about it in a moment. But this realization of this is a constellation which is responsible for the suffering was very, very enlightening, and the win helps me to kind of, okay, this is solved. So these things that I'm feeling is connected to different things as well. This is what I'm trying to say, to express.
Okay. So, this is making me think about this is yet another signal that, very often the things that are bothering us, they're just symbols for what's actually going on inside of us. And our brain tries to fix our problems by immediately trying to rearrange the external circumstances. Yeah, but
yes.
Some of your external circumstances did get quote unquote fixed, but you realize, oh my gosh, there's something bigger going on here, and I'm still being affected in ways that are surprising me. Okay, so am I understanding it better now?
Yes.
Yes. So, what do you think the exercises that we talked about, the stillness, and
yes.
it looks like you're doing this show from you're like a war reporter. You're looking around where's the next missile coming from? Do I have to take cover? It's like you got your mask on.
It's because there are some there are some people walking around me, and entirely sure of their intentions. So
Uh-oh.
I'm kind of ready to run in case it's needed. So yeah, that's why. Especially there's one who's kind of making circles around me. I think his intentions are hostile. No, I don't know. I don't know if he's hostile. He's
Oh my
probably
God.
just. But the guys, this is PeaCreaLive. This is happening right now. Okay, as David said at the beginning, this is for real. We could have canceled the show, but no, I'm doing it from the road. David is doing it from a war zone without lights, apparently.
Powers out. Powers out.
This is the dark web episode. So if you have some questions, this is live. This is happening right now. Let us know. Vulnerability and monies. How do you deal with that? What does it bring to your mind? If you watched the last episode and you have some question, ask us. And so the
Well, I have a question for
the
you.
exercise.
My question, my
Yes,
question is, how did the exercise we talked about? Did they help with these realizations or not? Did they work or not? Did they help or not? And were they connected to what you experienced with the financial win? Were they connected to what you experienced with the realization? I'm just really intrigued to see how any of it's connected or not.
Yeah. Okay. So everything is connected. There was actually, I made a Google Docs out of the episode that I rewatched after, and one of the things was getting to stillness. Then it was asking yourself question while you are on stillness, in a still place. And the third point was work on your discernment, which is when an idea comes of what should be done in the context of, oh my God, financial crisis, shock, to be able to know if it comes from basically fear or love, fear or excitement. Yeah. So I worked, I did one thing that we didn't talk about in last show, which is super important, is I took care of my body as well. So nice. I had plenty of sleeps. Yeah. I had plenty of sleep. I took nap. I had big nights, and I managed to sleep. And then I focused on the stillness. So you talked about several possibilities to work on the stillness. Like we talked, Marie did some comments. I had my ideas, but you said Wim Hof, and I was like, I have a good memories of my experiences with Wim Hof. So I did the Wim Hof practice. And man, it was amazing. It was like stillness, but stillness and happiness and power at the same time. I felt like it's like the presence process, which is a process that David and I did a couple of times. But it's like easier and more and happier.
Yeah,
was my experience.
Yeah.
So I did that, I think, on Saturday. And immediately I felt like euphoria, and I could see the problem because it wasn't solved, and it's still not solved 100%, but I could still see the problem and not be scared by it, because my inner state, my stillness, my flickering flame was like stronger than the rest. That was super strong of an experience. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm really glad you tried some breathing technique. And so it got you to stillness, but also a sense of power, it sounds like. And then, so you saw the problem, but the problem wasn't bigger than your stillness. You had like a renewed space inside yourself to handle it. So, I mean, that's exactly what we're looking for, because, all of these things, if we are consciousness, then all of these circumstances that are arising, in the consciousness that we are, can we feel the space to be big enough to hold them? That's a very peaceful way to approach it. But my question is, when you saw the problem from this more still place, how did that help you?
It helped me put things into perspective. I was like, okay, so this stream of incomes disappeared, but it shouldn't be too difficult to replace it. Either with some other tenants or by getting a job. And I actually have it actually made me realize one thing very important, and we talked about it privately, David, but I can share it. one of the things that is probably preventing me from growing as a coach is that a part of me think that I'm doing that because I wasn't being able to succeed in a corporate career.
Ah,
Remember when? Yeah.
yeah.
So actually, part of this constellation of things that was making me freak out was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to go back to the corporate world to make it and do the politics stuff. And I don't want that. I'm not able to do it. And there was this fear on top of the fear of not being able to take care of my family, on top of the fear of the relationship with people around me. So it was very, very much a constellation, as you put it. And this stillness exercise allowed me to really, we talked about pause, that pause is the moment where willpower can happen. So stillness gave me the time to pause and some sort of distanciation, like some space
Yes.
to that helped me see things more clearly. Stillness and sleep. I emphasize that because if your body is too tired to make the proper chemical reactions, stillness, I think, can have an impact, but not as strong.
Yeah.
So it's really the combination of the two that worked for me.
Okay. Okay. And so it helped you get a new perspective. You started to see that it was easier than that. Maybe it could be easier to resolve it than you thought. But also, it sounds like you started to see that you weren't just there was fear coming from multiple directions, and so it sounds like that in one of the solutions you initially came up with, maybe I go get a job now. You also had fear from that because of the idea of so you were having resistance. So you're having resistance in the current situation. Oh my God, the income stream is gone. Oh my God, how am I going to take care of my family? But then you were also having resistance to some of your own solution ideas. Like, oh,
Yes,
that could be a
exactly.
solution, but oh my
Exactly.
God, I'm having resistance to that too. So it was compounding it for you,
Yeah.
and you were able to see that from the stillness.
And that's two level of fear. That's and I actually, it's not that, it's not just that I could see other solutions, is that I could see that there is hope, that there are possibilities. And one of the things you said last episode that I loved is like survival mode is not options mode. And on Thursday when I had the bad news, and still on Friday when we recorded the show, I had a hard time to, see options. And actually, one of my friend and clients saw last episode, and I had talked to her before and to share what was going on. And she told me, well, when I watched the episode, I was kind of surprised that your problem was just that, and she's completely right. It's like it's completely a first world problem. Oh my God, I don't have tenants in my flat. So that's but from the mental space I was in on Thursday, it was something much bigger than that. And I think it's very common for people to make to see one problem as much bigger than it is.
Yes.
And that's why you see some super successful people commit suicide, for example, because they think they can never go, like Robin Williams, millions of dollars, super popular, and he couldn't get out of his problem somehow. So I think it's important to share this message that, rest, stillness, this is super, super powerful. Those are super powerful tools in order to see the things as they are, and see the problems not as mountains, but as part of this game that we are all playing.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it is a bit tragic, because we are bigger. Who we really are is bigger than any problem we can face. And that's unfortunate. For some people, they just don't feel that. They feel so trapped. And I certainly feel trapped sometimes. And it's okay that your problem is like, quote unquote first world problem. But the point is that that you're making, I really like, is that any problem, if we don't do our work to reconnect with our core and our stillness, any problem can seem completely overwhelming. You know, any problem can get built up so big in our head that it's unsurmountable. You know,
Yeah.
and so okay, great. So it sounded like you had this great perspective on it. You saw more clearly what was going on for you, and then what happened next? Keep us going in the story and coming up toward today.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So because the process was find stillness and then get some clarity on the next steps, right?
Yeah.
So I asked myself from this place of stillness, what shall I do? And I didn't get a clear answer, so I kind of asked myself a series of questions. I wrote them, like, should I do this? Should I do that? What do I think about that? How can I achieve it? And then I kind of answered to some of them from this place of stillness. And then what happened? I kind of forgot what happened after that. I repeated the cycle of, taking care of myself, resting, and doing the happening exercise to reminding me, hey, it's okay, it's okay. Wim Hof helped me a lot. And actually, yeah, okay. So one of my fear was, if I don't get the financial win, I'm going to give up on this whole coaching project. And I was like, I need the win. And from this moment of stillness and power that the Wim Hof breathing gave me, I was like, no, I think I can handle having only. I think I can handle continue without wins, because I will be able to go back to this stillness in the scenario where I have all those non-win, go back to the stillness, recharge, and then continue. So there was this. That's why I was talking about the hope that came back, because like through this stillness, this recentering exercise, I could see that yes, there is some hope and there is some energy inside me, which is untapped.
So it sounds like part of the reason you were able to access that hope and that energy that was inside you and untapped, part of that was because it sounds like you loosened your attachment to some particular outcomes. In that stress moment, you were really attached to like, oh, these upcoming potential wins I could get, I must have them. But it sounds like you loosened it and you realized, well, even if they don't happen, I can recharge myself and I can figure out the next thing. Yeah?
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to sound like a Superman, because I got one. I mean, okay, don't want to jinx it. I almost got one of the wins, and I'm pretty happy that I did, because this is the theory, doing Wim Hof, getting that. I don't know if it would happen. I know that there is hope. I know that this is a possibility, but I'm pretty happy that I got the win to give me this energy now. But yes, by putting less importance on the outcome, I have the opportunity to go on and to tap into this energy. Because a friend of mine told me that I think Bob Proctor is talking about unlimited resources, unlimited amount of energies. And sorry, I'm kind of mixing the happiness of talking with you with the survival mode of being in a strange environment.
It's interesting to watch, It's like you're going to get attacked at any second. I don't know what's going on.
I mean, that should be good. That should be good TV, but I hope it won't happen. But anyway, yeah. So then, what happened? Rest, stillness, time outside, fun, communication, vulnerability with the people around me, and then came this morning when I had the opportunity to do some clear actions for the goal, toward the win. And I was like, I need to be at my best for this win to happen. This is what in my hands, the way I act, the way I talk, the way I work, the way I present myself, the way I communicate. So I did another Wim Hof just before, and I start my journal with every morning is like, what would make me feel like I'm making progress today? We talked about this is thanks to PeaCreaLive. And I used to have stuff which were outside of my control in this list, but I changed that, and I was like, okay, if you prepare and if you do this Wim Hof breathing before, it will give you the feeling that you made some progress. So I did just that, and then I did a very good session because it was a coaching session, and then came the win, So, and from there, I had like this magical energy boost. I was like, la, 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 singing and dancing, and everything is easy. And that's when I got the clarity of, okay, this is the constellation. This is what's been temporarily solved. And there's this, and this that needs to be taken care of. So yeah, that's kind of what happened.
Okay. I mean, some might argue that going into stillness and taking care of yourself, especially going into stillness right before that coaching session, allowed you to be in the mode that you could create a win for yourself. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. So okay, so you feel like that way too, that it helped you, that going to stillness actually helped you get the win.
Yes, and that's wonderful because that's available to anyone.
Yeah.
What did I need? I used the computer to follow the video, but I could have done it without. I needed just my breath and a place where I can breathe.
Yeah.
I think everyone who's watching the show has that, and this is the kind of thing that you can influence. Which state are you in before you're going to do something of importance?
Yes.
So yes, putting myself in stillness definitively helped with the win. And I feel some guilt talking about this win because there is still a scenario where this win is cancelled,
Sure.
Like as long as the money is not on the account, nothing is never sure. But and I kind of so that's a tangent a little bit. But I thought about that this morning. I was like, wow! Right after the win, I was like, wow. Am I allowed to be happy about that?
Mm.
And I had kind of a struggle, because like, okay, if I'm going to be happy now, it's great, you feel, but if I start to text everyone and scream it on the roof and then it doesn't happen, I'm going to be double disappointed. So I just told it to my wife and then I was like, of course I'm allowed to be happy. That's great. When happiness comes into our life, we should embrace it. But then I was like, I didn't write it to everyone who should know about it yet. No, I'm sharing it with you, David, because this is the natural follow-up for the last episode. But this is interesting that sometimes we don't know if we are allowed to be happy for something good that happens.
I hear this a lot. And I struggle with this a little bit as well. I mean, but I think it's so draining and dampening, and I mean, I don't want to use the word destructive, but almost destructive to our energy system to block our excitement and our own happiness like that. There has to be a way where we can, I mean, if we're truly not attached to the outcomes, then there's a way for us to be super happy about the possibility of something happening. But then even if it doesn't happen, that doesn't have to turn around to be like double disappointment, as you put it. I know a lot of people that feel this way. I don't want to get my hopes up. That's an expression we have in English. Don't want to get your hopes up because then if it doesn't happen, it'll get destroyed or something. You don't want to jinx it. But the way that energy works is that feeling really alive and free and happy energy. I mean, that's like a health boost to your system. You get all these beautiful healing chemicals running through your body. You're keeping yourself in a zone of being able to see options. You're keeping yourself in a creative zone when you're in that happiness. So I mean that that state is so useful in so many ways, you know?
Yes.
So there has to be
Yes.
a way. There has to be a way to keep that state like oh my gosh, this person, I might have a new client. I might have a new client. And like can we feel the joy of that just for the sake of feeling the joy of that? Not for the sake
Yes.
of having it to happen, you know, but just for the sake of having the joy of that while unconditionally letting that potential client still do whatever they want to do, you know?
Yes.
I think that's a gold mine. If you can do that, I think that's an absolute gold mine for your own well-being.
Okay, I don't know that I'm able to do that for now, but that was my conclusion. It was like, this feels so good and powerful and happy and positive that, of course, I'm gonna let myself feel that. What I put some restraint on is maybe I'm not gonna communicate that much. Like, hey guys, because in a way, by doing that, I'm kind of diluting the feeling, you know, instead of just, sitting and taking it in and be like, oh yes,
Yes.
enjoying. I'm already texting about it or whatever. So I had to share it with someone, so I shared it with Clara.
Yeah.
And okay, so guys, the challenge is over. No one found me. I'm in the Hlavní nádraží of Prague. It's too late. You lost the $10,000, but you won.
If anybody's in the main train station watching, go try to find Arno. So it looks like he's crouching near an elevator, scared, like doggedly looking around him, waiting for an attack. So if you see a man crouching by an elevator, like defending himself from attack, that's probably Arno on the live show. Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
Anyway.
I think that's an amazing conclusion. Like I really like what you're saying. Find a way to, when you have that joy, this is very interesting what you're saying. You have some joy, and there's actually be a little bit of dilution in the feeling when you focus on communicating it right away. That's a really interesting idea. Like, why do you think that is? What do you think is happening?
Well, there's definitely some ego involved, in good or bad way. It can be in ego, like, I told you I could do it, or it could be, I don't know, just the joy of sharing, because any important project is built with several people. Your one of your motto is never work alone,
Mm-hmm.
and I highly believe in that. But even before I used to believe in that, you talk about your projects with your friends, with your loved one, with a coach if you have one, and you should, with your group of peers. You share that. So when something good happens, I think we have this natural tendency to want to tell at least those people, because they are kind of watching the TV show of your life, and if there is a new episode where you have some wins, of course you want them to know. And I don't think this is bad in itself, but it's a matter of balance for me. It's a matter of balance. I think really the most important thing is for me, when this happens, to not miss it by being already thinking about who you're going to share it with.
Yeah.
Take those few moments, to sit in there and just be, oh yes, this is going, I love my life, this is worth it, because by doing so, you're actually recharging your energy.
Yes.
And you're ready to go on. Now, we talked about that ambitious project is like they are marathon, and you need to always have, something that keeps you going. And sometimes it's like, you remember this video game called the Wipeout?
It sounds super familiar. A surfing game?
No, it's like some
driving game.
Basically spaceships. Yeah, driving game with spaceships, and there is one of the options that you can hover over that gives you energy, like this speed boost, or and that's what's going on in those moments in our life. We have a win, something we thought would be difficult, and somehow now it's there, and this is the moment where we need to live to let this energy boost penetrate us and heal us and recharge our battery so that we can go on the race.
Yeah.
or on the game rather than a race.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. It's like yeah, your game is giving you one of those power ups, you know, and you got to collect the power up. When in even and so can you collect the power ups without being attached to the outcome to any outcomes? You just get the feeling that's a power up coming up. Can you collect that power up? I like that idea a lot. And not only do you, I remember that game now. By the way, I'm pretty sure I played that game a lot because it had an awesome techno soundtrack. Especially there was like several
Yes.
versions of it. It had an amazing techno soundtrack. It was like a futuristic racing game. I could never master that game. It was so hard though. It's so hard. I
Yeah.
remember being so hard.
Turning was very tricky. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But anyway, so you collected a power up, and you the other thing I'm thinking about right now is that when you just said I had this feeling like, oh my god, I love my life in this moment. Anytime you can just hold yourself in one of those moments, you're rewiring your nervous system to experience those moments more. So
Yes.
not only is it recharging you to keep going in your game, it's healing you on the inside, but also it's wiring you to do more of that, to get more of that. And as you tell the viewers why that'd be important, I'll be right back. Be right back.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to continue with the idea that David just shared because it talked about the nervous system, and yes, rewiring is super important because actually, maybe the reason why it's difficult, why you have resistance towards sharing. Oh, you're back already. Okay, so I can restart my sentence because I basically like had a minor brain bug. So you talked about the chemicals that are rewiring, our brain to do more of this. And
Yeah.
I was thinking that maybe the reason why sharing in that moment can be negative is that there is a lot of negative chemicals released when we use social media.
Oh yeah.
By definition, because we go on Instagram and we see that everyone's life is amazing except ours.
Yeah.
So maybe combining the two, and that's why sharing it with my wife felt great because there is no social media involved. So I just went downstairs. I was like, "Honey, this happened," and she was like, I saw the smile of on her face, and it was kind of adding to the power up. It was like double power up. And as of sending a message, I don't know. Maybe the connection to technology in that case is not the right one.
That's a really interesting theory. I think another theory is that when you start sending the messages to other people about what's going to happen, about what might just happen, I know this would happen to me. A part of my brain is now not focused on how I'm feeling at all. It's not focused on me. It's focused on
Yes.
them and how are they going to react? What are they going to think of this?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
yes.
so it's putting me,
Yes.
it immediately is pulling me outside myself, and it's putting me into like, how do I communicate this? And, how do I say this to them? Now all of a sudden I'm having to keep them in mind as well. And that's not part of the feeling. It's just my own power up. It's just for me to power up. And of course I can share them later once I've like absorbed the power up, and then I could tell them the story like you're doing now, later you can say, hey, this really cool thing happened to me. But I think, in the moment, just savor it. Just savor it. That
Yes.
I was listening to a spiritual teacher. Oh, sorry, go ahead. I'll tell that next. Go ahead.
No, I just want to continue what you just said, because if you spend some time getting that power up and wait a little bit to share it with people, maybe wait till you see them or till you call them at least, then as you tell your story, the power up will come up, and you will feel that again.
Again, yes.
So that's a double win actually, because
Yes.
when it happens, you're like taking it in, and then when you share it, you're getting these feelings again.
Yes, that's a great point. It's a great point. It's a way to double wire. Every time you revisit it, it's like you're rewiring. Yeah. What I was going to say is that there's one of the spiritual teachers I really like named Bashar. He said that in a recent live stream that I was on with like 1,000 other people who are his fans, he said that you know, there's, if you realize what's going on in the present moment, you would never try to leave it. Like when you realize everything that's happening for you and what is capable for you only in the present moment, it is not rational to ever leave it. And, you know, so because in the present moment, that's the only place we can actually feel things. You know, that's in the present moment. That's the only place we can actually connect with ourselves deeply. You know, in the present moment, that's the only place where even action happens, right? And so what he said is whatever's happening in your present moment, you know, and he sees things from a big spiritual perspective. So, and I see it this way too. He says that, you know, your present moment isn't a coincidence. You know, your present moment is a creation that you made for yourself to get something out of it, even if it seems harsh. You know, so he's saying whatever your present moment is, that is the most important thing about your life, is whatever's happening in the present moment. You know, so this financial problem, like the consequences of this financial issue, they're not the most important thing in your life because they haven't happened yet. What's the most important thing in your life is what's going on in the present. You're feeling it. You're trying to decide how to integrate it. You're trying to get to the stillness. Then you're feeling this power up. All of these things could end up resolving this future thing that you're worried about that may never happen, like your brain thinks it could happen, right? So, you know, so I think when we try to communicate too quickly these feelings that we're feeling, it also just pulls us out of the present moment. And it pulls us out of where our power spot is, and that's the present moment.
Yeah. It's like there is this huge opportunity to be in the present in a moment that's easy, because another way to be in the present is focusing on pain, you know, because that's a great way to go back to the, oh wow, this is hurting right now, I'm here with that pain. And now we have the contrary. We have like this moment of happiness and of power that's kind of coming into our life, and we feel overwhelmed with joy. And that's a fantastic time to be in the present, because it feels good and it's easier, you know. And as you said, if we try to communicate it too soon, we are extracting ourselves from that. And I liked what you said. That's not exactly what you said, but it brings that to my mind. Thanks to this event that happened, and this whole thing, sorry, being overwhelmed with the stimuli around me, but it's all right. They seem to be friendly now.
It's like you're in some crazy forest, like you're in a jungle. It's like there's a roaming pack about to pass me. Are they friendly? Oh yes, they seem to be friendly. In general, they're ignoring me. Okay, I'm going to come back. I can come back to my secret report. Let me get this. Let me tell you, because my life is in danger. Okay, what does it bring into mind?
Maybe that's all of this was just here so that I can realize that I have this unfixed thing about my past in corporate. You know, that it puts really like this fear of my solution, as you called it. That's strong, and that's irrational, and that's something that I'm excited to work on, you know. And as a matter of fact, the same evening I chatted with a coach, not a friend of mine actually. A coach posted a job offer for coaches, and I started to talk with her about that. And I asked, because I was grateful that she shared this, I was like, well, how can I help you? Which kind of clients are you looking for? And she was like, I'm actually helping people with their career and their relationship with corporate. And I was like, ka-ching! What? So she actually came into my life just at this moment. And I don't know if something is going to happen, if I'm going to hire her or not. But maybe that was the whole point of it, you know, to put the finger on this thing inside me that you and I talked about maybe a month and a half ago, you know. So, and I kind of was like, well, okay, no biggie, that's the past, but actually it's still in me somewhere. So maybe the whole point of this was to bring that to the surface.
Yes.
Or maybe it was something else, but definitively the present moment is the shit.
Yeah. Well, this is, this is exactly what's happening is that in most of our lives is that something happens to us and it helps us reveal more about ourselves. If we look at it carefully, we can always learn something more about ourselves that helps us become more free. And and if you are carrying this burden about corporate, that's an emotional burden you're carrying around, because of some pain you have there. So if this situation was just to point you to that, this situation was serving you so that you could see what was going on with you, so you could become more free. So I think that's a very interesting, beautiful interpretation, Arno. So what would be, parting words here? Anybody going through financial vulnerability? I mean, you're still, from a is this situation fixed perspective, it's not yet. You're just in a totally you're just in a totally different place about it because of the tools you have a totally different capability of handling it because of the work you've been doing. So kudos to you for that. Yeah. And that's the whole point. We're changing our state so we change our experience and from a different state, we have a different experience and we can get to different outcomes. So what would be your final words for anyone else going through this, going through like a challenge, a big money shock challenge like this that, you're facing?
Yeah. Sleep, breathe, Excel. Like Excel, like spreadsheet. No, it's like don't do as I did. Start with Excel and be terrified by that, but like change the way you look at. Not the way you look at it. Change the way you feel about the situation. Go away from. Shit, have some weird stuff happening.
This train station is the most terrifying place. Don't go to the main train station. If you're there, you're just gonna be like Arnaud. He's just thinking everybody's gonna attack you.
No, I mean there was a guy with one leg who was kind of moving as he could, and there was this lady who was seemingly looking in his direction and kind of bumped into him, and I don't even think she apologized. She was like, "Fuck you," and she left.
Oh my god.
So okay, weird stuff happening. Yeah. So.
I hope you get home. Okay.
Yeah. There are the events, and there are the perception of of those events. And when we are in stress mode or survival mode, our perception is not helping us. It's making it worse than it is, really. So that's why sleeping is super important, because your brain needs to be able to make it, and your whole body needs to be able to make all those chemical reactions. Then stillness, as David talked about. For me, Wim Hof worked great, but last episodes we talked about several other techniques, so go check it out if you're interested. And then we didn't talk about it today, but I think expression, because talking about it with you, talking about it with my wife, like expressing really helped, because again, it helps get some perspective. Talking about it with my friend who was like, well, I didn't think your problem was just this. And I was like, oh yeah, but she's right.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm forgetting a lot of things, but I think that all the rest comes from these bases, these three basic steps.
Well, two other things I'll add to that you seem to did really well is, one, you let your emotions come out. I mean, you even mentioned that you cried in front of your mother-in-law when you were telling her about it because you felt like so bad about it, and I think that is when you let emotions out, you just create a relief in your nervous system, so that was a huge important component. And then I think the other thing that we've mentioned that you've done really well is you stayed in the present moment about it. How am I feeling right now? Oh, okay, I got some emotions to let out. Yeah. Can I breathe? And how do I feel now? Okay, what feels good now to do? Oh, hey, I have a coaching session coming up. This could be a new client. Okay, wait, let me stay in the present moment, not think about that or that outcome. Let me get in the present moment. What's happening right now? Okay, I'm going to breathe. I'm going to center myself. And that created your best opportunity to move through that situation in a positive way.
Yeah, and maybe I would generalize that a little bit by after you slept, after you recentered, after you expressed yourself, focus on what you can control. you know.
Yeah.
Don't focus on the outcome that you cannot control, you know.
Yes.
But if you do everything that you can, you increase the chances for this outcome to be there, you know. So there is always that. And what you can control is like, yes, doing recentering exercise, breathing, sleeping, taking care of yourself before the moment where you need to perform.
Yes. It's that space between stimulus and response. In that space is where we
Yes.
do our work. In that space is where we make our choice and exercise our will to respond. Good,
Yeah.
good shit, man. I'm loving the way you're navigating this. Obviously, let's stay in touch. We have another show this week, so we'll find out more later in the week about how this is going, and we'll see what our topic is for the next show. But thank you so much for making yourself vulnerable on the show and sharing with people what's going on with you and your experience through it. I think this is super helpful.
Well, thank you. I could have never done it without PeaCreaLive.
Yeah.
Frankly, because it's been 2 months that we talk about this kind of stuff, you know, that and it's been 2 months that there are some insights that are flying, sometimes between you and me, sometimes with our guests, or sometimes, you know, with reference that we make or that just come our way. And this is what I keep telling to my clients, you know, like, you have been, of course, several of them have a big background of self-development, you know, and I'm like, this is paying out, you know. You reacted this way in this situation because it's been 10 years that you've been training, you know. Other people have been training on FIFA for 10 years. And they are great at FIFA, but when their shit hit the fan, they don't know what to react, you know.
Yeah.
And PeaCreaLive has been like and is a compression of insight and help and advices on how to navigate these kind of things. So I'm super happy that we're doing that. I know that it's bringing value to people. And yes, I don't know what we're going to talk about on Friday. Maybe it's going to be connected. Maybe it won't be. We'll see. But thanks a lot, David, for doing this show with me, and thank you for everyone to watch, who comments, who watch after, because I saw that a lot of people are watching not live but after the show. So for those people, if you watch during the show, you can actually ask a question and it will be on the screen and everything. So, and one thing I wanted to say about vulnerability is that last Friday it felt hard to be vulnerable. Today it didn't. Today, I don't know why, but today it wasn't difficult to share what's really going on in my life. So vulnerability needs not to be hard all the time. Or maybe that's a muscle that you train, I don't know. Or maybe next time it will be super hard. But I can say that today I speak my truth, I speak, you know, from my heart, and it wasn't difficult. I didn't feel self-conscious about it.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Arnaud. And yes, thank you all listeners for listening in on this. I hope you get a lot from this episode. That concludes Arnaud's report from the war zone. That is Javi Nadrigi. Hopefully,
Oh my God! Oh!
Hopefully he gets home safely. Wherever he's going next. Thank you, Arnaud, for doing the show on the road under such extreme conditions.
Of course.
And
My pleasure.
Yeah. Well, the PeaCreaLive has been a hugely, so useful for me as well. So we're gonna keep doing it, everybody. We're gonna keep doing it, bringing you this stuff. So thanks for watching. Till next time. By the way, you can go join the tribe at the website you see on the screen, or either of the websites you see on the screen, and you can subscribe to the Revolution channel if you liked it. Give us a like if you liked it, and you'll stay informed about more of these shows coming up. I'm just gonna watch Arnaud walk around for a minute because it's quite fascinating. It's quite entertaining. My God,
Okay,
she's done the whole show walking.
I'm going to lose connection pretty soon, though. So
that's okay. We're gonna go now.
In case I cut. Okay, all right.
I'm gonna play the outro, buddy. All the best to you. Till
Okay.
next time. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. Bye, guys. Bye, Davey.
Peace, everybody. Peace.
Yes.